Hello and welcome to India Career Center, the one-stop podcast for students, professionals, parents and guardians. In every episode, we will try to deal with a current topic that needs expert advice related to career guidance and career mentoring. Please welcome your host, Dr. S.P. Mishra to the show and happy listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode on India Career Center. Today I've got a fantastic guest, Mr. Sai Kumar, the co-founder of Marut Drones, Hyderabad. The reason we are talking about drones is because it's quite exciting. It has moved away from being just a sci-fi toy to become a very effective tool in various fields now. It is projected by 2030, the market size of drone technology across the world will be around 50 billion US dollars. And currently, there are about 33,000 companies across the world employing about 2.1 million people. And to give an Indian context, India, of course, is far smaller in terms of market size. It is estimated that India will grow to a level of about 4 billion US dollars by 2030. And there are about 700 plus manufacturers in India and 600 plus service providers in India already. So to learn more about this technology and how we can um, share this knowledge to our youngsters who are looking at career opportunities, so what better can it be to hear it from somebody who has been part of this journey. So, Mr. Sai Kumar, thank you for your time today. Thank you for joining us. So, welcome to India Career Center podcast.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mishra, for having me. Uh, I wish that somewhere get to hear this, get inspired, or get some knowledge, get some clarity to move ahead in the life with drones.
Fantastic. So, to learn a little more about the Marut drone story, so you said you started with filmmaking and started using drones and then got fascinated. So, tell us a little backstory about the Marut drones itself.
Okay, so imagine 7 years before when generally you would notice that or you hear about drones either being used in border for some kind of covert operations or you would see them flying in the weddings or some events that you've been to. So these are like the popular you know applications that you get to see around or hear around. I mean, it was same for us as well. uh, but for me and for my partner Prem, it was more a closer observation because back then we were into film production. So we were using drones to shoot different kind of drones to shoot different kind of films. So when so that's how got a little curious about the drones and started getting into what else the drones can do. And we started fiddling around. Of course, with the engineering background you could do something more than the usual people. And then we discovered that okay, drones can be used for many more purposes than what we think, on a very popular context. And in Hyderabad, you would notice that generally anyone living in Hyderabad or most of the cities with the lakes is that during rainy season you get a lot of mosquitoes. People end up having malaria, dengue, chikungunya, typhoid, or even another kind of viral fever. And why is it? Because majorly mosquitoes transmit the diseases. And where does the mosquitoes come from? They generally, you know, breed in the stagnant water bodies like lakes, ponds, nalas, and all these things. And municipalities does a lot of work to control them, but unfortunately that is not good enough because of the pace and at the scale they can operate. So typically they used to spray larvicide over the lakes manually in the boats and all. We thought, okay, why don't we use a drone to spray this? Because getting into the lakes, which are especially filled with plants, or getting into the nalas and manually spraying is a very tough job. It takes time, it takes effort, and it is also sometimes dangerous. So we developed a drone which has a tank which can spray, and in that we experimented with GHMC, Hyderabad municipality, where rather than doing it manually, we started spraying the same thing with the drone. And we found out that it is 10 times faster and also at the same time 5 times economical, and it's more safe. And then, like that, we developed another use case where we used drones for afforestation. Basically, we made a drone with a payload that can drop seed balls. So imagine, like, you load the drones with hundreds of seed balls, and the drone flies and it drops the seed balls over the area where you want trees to be grown. Usually it is done before rainy season so that the rain falls and the seeds turn out into samplings. Like this, we kept on experimenting. We During COVID, we developed another drone with which you can send medicines or diagnostic samples or blood in temperature controlled box from one place to another place. And we also developed the drone eventually for the agriculture purpose, where you can use the drone to spray pesticides or spread urea. And even now we are working on a new segment where you can even do seeding using drone. So fundamentally, if I can put it in one simple way to understand, it is like a drone kind of has pretty much is same engine. If you want to imagine it, that like easy way to understand, the engine, which is the main body, the brain of the drone, will remain same, but what you attach to it, and what, depending on what kind of operations that you want to do, and depending on the attachment that you have, the whole thing changes. So so that's why people keep hearing, oh, we can do this with drones, we can do that with drones, etc., etc., which is true. It's kind of a flying robot, and that can do a lot of things depending on how you have designed it, and depending on the application you choose. You build the drone based on the weight. That accordingly the weight will increase, or accordingly the power and all the supplies will be changing. Yeah, simply that's what we could understand. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, and in terms of your milestones, so you started around 7 years back. So, just to put a context, so where were you about 7 years back, and how big is the operation now? Give us a context of that.
Okay, like 7 years back, we are almost like just three co-founders, maybe couple of more engineers or support staff, and that was the case almost for 2 years. Because also back then, in the country, there was no policy. So basically, there was a void in terms of whether you can use drones or whether you can't use drones, whether you can sell drones or you shouldn't sell drones. There is no like there is no, like, handbook, or in government way to put it, there is no policy or anything. So even though we were experimenting with drones, when you look at it in a very business context, I mean, nobody knows what to do. We were doing some projects for government, fortunately, like for GHMC and for forest department, things like that. But other than that, there was no policy. So this was the case till 2021. Actually, during on 2021 August, government has published drone rules, in which everything was defined, what the company should be, what certification for the drone, and certification for training center. Everything was very well defined. So after that, we actually started doing more business, or we started doing business, because that is when we were permitted to sell drones. So before, it was more of experimenting with drones, presenting different use cases to the world, that okay, we can do this with drones, we can do this with drones, and accordingly, whatever the projects and grants we got, we were working on them. But after 2021, we decided to focus on agriculture sector, because we see the huge potential that India being a agrarian country, and huge amount of people, more than 50% of people being dependent on agriculture. We thought that okay, utilizing drones, or building drones for the agriculture sector would be the best thing that we can do to start with. So we got our drones certified to be used in agriculture, and since then we started selling drones. uh, First to start with in Telangana, Andhra, slowly then Karnataka, Maharashtra, and now we operate all over India. Currently we are more than 200 people of team, uh, with engineers, salespeople, and a lot of pilots and instructors, etc., etc. In terms of achievements, we got numerous awards. Like I can say, like very the majority of major ones are like we were selected as Forbes 30 under 30, and I think more than the awards, I think one thing we are more fortunate is to raise Series A funding of $6.2 million from our investors, Low Capital, and with that we are able to expand all over India now and operating with more than 200 members team. Yeah. As of now, we stand like just to conclude. As of now, we stand in like top five drone companies in India. So yeah, that's it. Please go ahead.
Fantastic. So you mentioned that your focus is on agriculture, but just to give a context, what are the other big use cases in India to understand for the understanding of our audience to know what are the big application areas? Of course, what you mentioned about agriculture sounds very logical. India is a agriculture dependent country with so many people involved. Uh, but what I find little challenging is that most of our agriculture is actually owned by small individuals. So, do you find that as a challenge in terms of implementing a technology like drone technology to smaller farmers also?
Okay. So let me first answer your second question. I think that's a fair question, and in fact, that is something we also took some time to navigate through when we initially entered into the agriculture sector. So by default, everyone thinks that okay, if the drones are being used in agriculture, farmers should use it. So if the farmer is using it, it doesn't make any sense for the small farmer to buy such a huge piece of equipment and just use it for nothing for an acre or two. But eventually, what we discovered and how the market also adopted is that it is not the farmers who are buying the drones; it is someone else who want to provide drone as a service is buying the drone. Think of like your cab driver or any Uber or Ola kind of a person where you are not actually, even though you are the one who is using the cab to commute, you're not buying the car. Someone else is buying the car and you are just paying as you go. So that is how the things are running even right now. In fact, surprisingly, I mean, first 1 2 years it was not easy because there were a lot of questions about whether drones can be used. If so, what is the proof of experimentation? Because you're talking about using the drones to spray for the crops, and what if the crop dies, or like what if there is excess pesticide and things like that? It affects everyone's lives. But initially, the researches were done and proven that drones can be used. And after the research, the other hurdle was like what you're mentioning. But once the farmers have seen what a drone can do or heard about it in the news and other things, now I don't think anyone has a question that okay whether drone can be used. And in fact, now after the awareness, there's huge adaptation. I mean, there are a lot of people who are buying drones and using them. And like I said, the small farmers, like if let's say you are a farmer who is having 2 acres of land, then you'll just call someone in your village or nearby village to come and spray, and you just pay for 2 acres, which is usually the case if you're using a labor as well. I mean, most of the people still either do it by themselves or hire labor. But even with that, there is a huge labor shortage these days. And at the same time, when it comes to spraying pesticides, it's not healthy, or like it affects person who is doing. People have realized that and they started using drones. So that's the case with agriculture. And coming back to the first question where you're asking what are the other major applications, one thing definitely stands out, that is cinematography or videography. Like it's a very because it gets personal for some people. They can just use it for hobby and things like that. But that kept aside, another thing which is still stands of a huge application is defense. Even now, when you look at it in terms of the market share on the overall drone use cases, defense still stands as a sector which actually pumps a lot of money into this technology. Then after that, you have surveying. Drone can be used for surveying, whether it is land or any kind of crop or anything. You can use it for surveying because it is something flies and it has a top-down view. Um, and there are a lot of industrial use cases, uh, which I think will soon you will see, but not right now. Say, for example, you can use the drone for firefighting. You can use the drone for cleaning the huge building glasses, or you can use the drones to paint big buildings. You can use the drones to inspect power lines or pipelines. You can use drones to inspect inside the factories, like small lidar-based drones. So, like this, there are a lot of applications. I mean, you can use them for mining, for discovering of minerals. So, it kind of depends on need of the hour and where people are ready to uh, spend money for something more qualitative. And at the same time, it also depends on where there is a shortage of labor or expertise and or data, and you want to get the work done quickly. Almost most of the industries you can use drones. It all depends on what you need, what kind of job you want it to want it to be done.
Okay, you earlier mentioned that there are drone buyers who actually, you know, give it on rent on per hour or per day basis, just like the Uber cars. So how developed is that system in India? And is there a big awareness that young people can actually find that as an entrepreneurial option to become a owner of a series of or a fleet of drones, so to speak? So do you think that that is something which is shaping up already?
Yes, actually, that is what is happening. Um, so one, it's not given as on rent. It's more of like uh, service. So what's happening is, especially in villages, because you also rightly mentioned about youth, you have a lot of people who are educated, who might be engineers, might have done a degree, or might have uh, passed through a diploma from ITI, or even just done plus 2 and looking towards doing some work. And some of them who are smart, or who are more little technically enthusiastic, they're buying drones. So be it by their own money, or taking on loan, or in some states there is subsidy, availing subsidy. So what these people are doing is that they buy a drone and they buy a couple of batteries, typically just before the season. That is, now it's the season actually. Till January you will have, like, back to back some kind of demand. So they're buying the drone, they're getting the batteries, and if they have a bike or an auto or something like that, they use that. And they kind of spread the word that they have the drone and they can provide the service, let's say 400 rupees per acre or 500 rupees per acre. So, and typically if you have enough demand, you can easily spray 15 to 20 acres in a day. Like, if it generally, what happens is, because if the land is fragmented, somebody is asking for 2 acres, someone is asking for 3 acres, someone asking for 5 acres. So sometimes the time also goes in moving from one spot to another spot and another spot. In a case like that, usually you end up only doing 15 acres. But if it is like one piece of land, you can even do 25, 30 acres as well. So you can do the math, like, per day, easily someone is, earning 7 to 10,000. if he gets the demand right. So like this, and of course there will be some cost of service. So even after deducting all the expenses, even your EMIs and all these things, you end up easily making 1 to 3 thousand on the day of working, which I think is a very good amount when we are talking about economics in rural or town area. So, but yeah, this is little seasonal. Like you can't expect someone to be earning money during summer or off season and things like that. But it is, as a business, it is working out. Typically, someone who buys a drone and actively does operations, they are ending up uh, breaking even in a year, a worst case in 2 years. So that is a very good proposition for any business. Like typically takes a lot of years for you to break even. So a lot of youth are becoming enthusiastic. In fact, in some areas, it reached a level where there's already huge competition. Like there is a saturation, so nobody is buying it. But at the same time, there are a lot of other regions which are still virgin. Like people can still own a drone and they can learn. I mean, it's not very hard to learn how to operate a drone, especially in agriculture. It is very easy. Say, for example, if you want to become a cinematographer, you need practice. But if you want to just use the drone for spraying, you don't need that much of practice. So people are typically they are learning, or if some of them are doing an internship, or like they are assisting someone to get the know-how, and after that they are buying the drones and building their own business. A lot of people who started very early, like 2 years back, with one single drone, and now they have a fleet of 10 drones, things like that. So okay, it's a good opportunity for who want to work in rural areas.
Okay, you mentioned about it's easy to, especially in the agriculture application, it's easy to make an entry. So, can you give a sense, typically, I mean, in your organization, what has been the entry model, so to speak, for somebody to buy a agriculture drone? What is a ballpark figure in terms of the cost? And you also mentioned that there is option for funding. So the banks are also possibly funding this. So give a sense of that, so that somebody who is listening to this conversation and finds it interesting, probably they might look at this as an opportunity to create their future careers.
Okay. So the you can get a drone and a couple of batteries, or if you want to more batteries, it will cost you more. But typically, you should be able to get the drone at 5 to 6 lakhs range. Okay, and there is something called agriculture infrastructure loan, which you can avail and get some money as depending on profile of the person, CIBIL score, and other things. They will sanction some amount of money as a loan, and with that loan also you can buy it, or else you can typically like get loan by yourself from any kind of private financing company or someone, and then you can buy the drone. Good part is, like I said, if you are well prepared with your contacts in your area region, then you already have a network, and you have already if you have already created a demand, as soon as you get the drone, like I was telling you, you can easily make 7 to 10,000 in a day. So that will, I mean, you will end up. I'm talking about revenue, not profit. That way, you will be easily earning uh, 1 lakh to 2.5 lakhs, depending on how much network you are able to, have and generate demand. So if you see, generally a season starts during this month, lasts for 6 to 9 months, depending on the region that you are there. So ideally, in one season or like in 1 year, you should be able to recoup the money that you have invested. So that is why a lot of people are finding it lucrative. Maybe in high competitive regions where people have already brought the drones and there are a lot of other people who are providing the service, there the price will be little less. I mean, because of the competition. But if it is completely new market, you can get a good price. One main thing that you need to look at, simple thumb rule, is that let's say if a farmer is already spending 400 rupees to get a labor and get the job done, a drone can do much better job because it sprays precisely, it saves pesticides, it does the job faster and all those things. They would be ready to pay you 400 rupees. So that should be your uh, benchmark. In some regions, sometimes the labor cost is much less. They might be paying only 300 rupees. So you need to check this first. In some regions, it is high, and for some crops, it is high, like sugarcane. Uh, it is safflower, it is high because it's hard to spray. They might be paying 600 rupees per acre, which will be lucrative if you own the drone in that region. This is one thing you need to check before you venture into it, because you can't expect someone to pay you more for the same service. So that way, if you do your basic economic math, how many farmers do I know? How much acres of demand I can get? And based on this demand, how much money I should be able to make? And accordingly, if I buy this drone with these many batteries at this much cost, in how many days I'll be able to recover this money? So once you do this basic math, I think if you get the confidence that okay, I can pull this off, go ahead and buy the drone. In fact, this is a much better time. Earlier, the drones costs were higher, uh, almost 50% more than what the cost is right now, the price is right now. Because back then we were also manufacturing in very small quantity. So our cost per piece was high. Now we are manufacturing in bulk quantities. So the cost for us has gone down. So the price has gone down. So now is a very good time for anyone to buy a drone, especially for agriculture purpose.
Okay, we'll come back to the price thing. Before that, I know that your organization also runs the institution for training the pilots whom you train for basically running the drones. Do you also have teach the youngsters about the opportunity? For example, you mentioned about how to look at opportunity, what costing, and what loan, and so on and so forth. So, is there some kind of system within your organization where if somebody walks into your office or to your factory or to your academy, they not just learn about technology, how to use the drone, but they also learn about the business model as such. So, do you do something like this?
Yes, we do. Typically, what happens is that someone already has a decent amount of idea when they're jumping into this, and usually they're from rural or else town area. So when they come in, so you need two things. One, you need to have a license to fly the drone, and you need to buy a drone which is certified. So depend, and there are like two categories, like small category and medium category. Small category is a drone if the drone is weighing below 25 kg. Medium category is something if the drone is weighing more than 25 kg. Think of something like LMV and HMV in car or like driving license. So as per DGCA, you need to get different license for different category. So first we'll try to understand which drone might be good for this person, and accordingly they will get trained in that category, which usually lasts for 5 days to get certification. And then ideally you will need another 5 days to get to know agriculture drone, how to use an agriculture drone, practically do the spraying it on the field. And then we are coming up with a course which is Agri-Entrepreneur course. In that course, what exactly you are talking about, basics of operating in this business, what kind of things you need to calculate, some templates for that, etc., etc. These things can be learned, and after that they can easily get onto the field. And but one thing I would definitely say, um, it's also my personal experience, theory and practicalities are different in business. We can teach them basics in terms of taking decision. Okay, for example, if I say you need to have 1,000 acres of demand to recover your investment, but generating 1,000 acres of demand is something on field work, right? Like you need to have network, or else you need to create network, you need to do some marketing, or you need to find out spots where people come and see, and all these things need to be done, which we will tell them how to do it, or like what to do, but implementing is up to them. So the point I'm trying to tell you is like we will be definitely showing them the ropes. Learning how to fly a drone and all those things will be completely done by us, because that is a purely technical and purely method based approach. But also we'll be teaching them in terms of, okay, basic principles of business, and what is the business of drones in agriculture, how much you should, how much it is costing you, so how much you should charge, how to maintain your equipment and all these things. But end of the day, they also need to have the ground research of the region they are working in. They need to have a network of the farmers of the region they want to operate, and then only it will be a successful business.
Okay, I think Indians are quite innovative that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, have you come across stories? Have you come across any story of your own customers who primarily took a drone for agriculture application, maybe used it for 5, 6 months or 7 months in a year, and then they actually innovatively found some other applications as well? Have you come across any story like that?
Yeah, like there are a lot of stories like that. But some stories better not to be told, because they are not good things to do. It's interesting to know and see, but they are not safe operations. Say for example, you can use the same drones to deliver some things. Okay, and interesting thing is like you see someone. Actually, these drones are made to spray, but because the drone has certain weight and it gives you certain air drift, it can also be used to shake the crops. So someone does that. So someone used to scare the animals to not come into the field area. So these kind of things are there. But uh, interesting one is like using the drone for pollination by shaking the crops, and definitely using the, because our drone also has a camera, so using it to see what's happening there somewhere, if some, these kind of things are there. But one main thing that we kind of understood, and we also changed, that is that initially when we launched our drone, it was only for spraying purpose, single use utility. But we like, based on our, like you said, talking to the farmers or talking to the users, they were like, why don't you change this, and it can also do this, it can also do this. And I said, yeah, that's true. So later we made another attachment with which you can spread urea granules. So same drone, rather than having a tank, you will have a dispersing broadcasting unit. You change it, and then you put urea, and it will, like, broadcast urea. So drone you can use for spraying. Same drone you can also use for urea spreading. And if you change the payload little bit, you can even use it for delivering something. Let's say you just have something. I mean, this is not a commercial use case, but you can use it in the fields. You have something here, there is someone there, you can attach it and send it over there. Who, like, if you are the owner of the drone, you can use it for multiple purposes. But the popular one was, rather than just spraying, we have also, by learning from people, we learned that we can also develop another attachment which can be used for spreading fertilizer, urea. Yes. So like this, a lot of things are there.
Okay. So just wanted to understand when you talked about different applications. Um, so is this the technology or the implementation of drone technology in India? uh, what are the challenges in terms of, for example, I mean, we keep hearing that a lot of important components still come from China, for example. So, just to understand a little more behind the scene of manufacturing. So, can you take us through that and try to let us know what are the bottlenecks in this for the drone technologies to be spread across India in a far bigger way. That is number one. And number two, when you make a drone, you said there are DGCA certifications and so on and so forth. So similar to that, the users are also supposed to take some kind of DGCA approval for using wherever they are using. What is the scene? I mean, what exactly happens?
Okay. Let me answer the second question, then we'll jump to this first one. So, for example, you want to use drone, then you need to understand very simple thing. What is the weight of this drone that you want to fly? Sometimes, let's say you want to use the drone just for hobby, like you want to, whenever you are on it or going on a trip or road trip, you want to fly the drone and take some video shots and things like that. Typically, this kind of drone won't weigh more than 2 kgs, or some of these drones even weigh less than 250 kgs, so 250 grams. Yeah, any drone which is less than 250 grams, you don't need any license, anything to fly, as long as you are not using it for commercial purpose. Say, for example, you brought a small drone in Amazon, which weighs around 200 grams. You can fly it. There's no problem. But let's say you are having the drone, which is, let's say, 500 grams. Then you need to have a license to fly. So then you need to go to an academy certified by DGCA. You have to do your training. They will teach you rules. They will teach you what is a red zone, green zone, yellow zone, where to fly, where you shouldn't fly, at what height you should fly, etc., etc. They will also train you in terms of flying. Pass an exam, and then you'll get your license. Once you get your license, you can fly it. This license will be from DGCA, valid for 10 years. So you can fly. Now, only thing is there are some regions, red zone, yellow zone, green zone. So you can fly anywhere if it is green zone. Yellow zone, there are some restrictions. You can't fly in red zone. This you will learn as a part of your course. What are the red zones? What are the yellow zones? And all these things. So yeah, to answer your second question, it's like you can fly if the drone is way too small, like we call them nano drones, less than 250 grams. Otherwise, you need to get your license, which will be certified by DGCA. Then you can fly your drone. It's as simple as that. The drone that you want to fly, if it is more than 225 kg, then it comes under medium category drone. So you need to get medium category license. This is as simple as that. I hope I answered your question, the second one.
Yeah. So my point was, is there, for example, I mean, we know DGCA for the aviation industry. So when a commercial flight has to take off from one place to another place, they have to take approval of DGCA for the flight path and so on and so forth. So in the drone industry, it is still not very regulated that much, right? I mean, for the drones to fly or do a operation, do they have to?
No, 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 no. They have to log and all those things, but there's nothing like you need to inform DGCA or something like that. Basically, they made it very simple that they have divided the zones. This is green zone, this is red zone, this is yellow zone. Say, for example, you are not allowed to fly near airport because it's an yellow zone, or you're not allowed to fly beyond certain height in the yellow zone. Let's say you are near defense area, you're not allowed to fly at all because it comes under red zone. So like this, they have divided. So that is the main, like, fundamental rule to across. And you need to have license. While you're getting your license, all these things you'll get to know: where to fly, where not to fly, what height you should fly, what height you shouldn't fly, etc., etc. So if you're following those rules, no problem. If you're not following that rules, then you might be in trouble. Yeah. So it's, I know, like, DGCA was more for aviation, but they understood that the drone technology or the number of drones usage is not going to be as what can I say, small in terms of numbers, or as controlled as it is in the case of aeroplanes. I mean, if it is aeroplanes, you can even tell how many numbers of aeroplanes are there, how many companies which are operating, each and everything. So they understood the situation and they made the rules and everything accordingly. And now coming back to the first question, uh, so to start with, one of the main thing that we need to uh, kind of understand is that drone is made up of multiple parts. It is not like a chair, or like, it is not like a cup or any plastic thing or suitcase or something like that, where in one place you'll be able to make the whole thing. Think of it more like a laptop or a mobile or a car, which has multiple parts, and developing each part itself needs a humongous amount of tech infrastructure, skill, manufacturing units, all these things. So, if, for example, you have motors and you have a flight controller. These two are completely different expertise. Flight controller is like you developing your PCB or a chipset, or like some kind of hardware, computer hardware part. Motor is like another completely different device. It is kind of electromagnetic, or mechanical as well as electrical uh, device. And let's take frame, main frame of the drone. This is again completely different segment altogether. It's like you developing something using plastic in a particular shape of with that particular strength. So, and if you look at arms, it is carbon fiber. That is again completely different segment. So the point I'm trying to make is that you need multi sector specialists developing different kind of parts to their best for your drone to be best. As a drone company, what we do is we design a uh, best possible drone for a particular use case. Say, for example, you want to do surveying, we will develop a small drone. But if you want to do delivery, we will develop a big drone. So the motor size will be different, the frame size will be different, the flight controller might also be different. So these kind of things we do. But for we don't end up developing each and every part. We give those specifications to the expert who is already of that. So for example, let's say I'm making a laptop. I might not develop my hard disk. I will tell Seagate, or like I will tell Samsung or someone, okay, develop this hard disk for me. And I might ask Intel or AMD or someone to develop the processor for me. I might ask Sony or someone to develop the camera. So the the point I'm coming down to is like, it is not just the drone companies. We also need lot of other sector companies for us to have a complete drone made in India. So right now the dependency on China is majorly because the manufacturing ecosystem there is evolved, and the kind of numbers they are operating is huge. So if you ask me a question like, can't it be made in India? It can be made in India, but right now it might cost more per piece. But the customer in the end is expecting the overall drone to be at a lesser price. Because we have just started entering into this segment, the number of pieces that are needed for us is not so high. So that is why still a lot of parts are being procured from China, where they're producing humongous amount of parts and they're supplying all over the world. So soon, I mean, there are a lot of very good companies that are coming up now and developing different parts. They're also trying to achieve the economics of scale, which we can foresee to happen for some parts in a year and for some parts in 5 years. And then eventually everything can be made in India. I mean, this is typically the evolution process for any new industry, especially which is dependent on hardware, mechanical or electronic parts. Initially, until we reach certain scale, we are dependent on other countries. Eventually, you'll also learn the uh, whole things and how to make them, etc., etc. And parallelly, you'll also have the numbers. Eventually, you become independent or self-reliant.
Okay, no, the reason I asked you this question was because the intelligent system which is getting used, I mean, the heart of the drones are basically the chips which are reading the different instruction from somebody who is down below on the ground and giving those instructions. And I mean, understanding that they use the GPS system to find their place, where to go, where they are going, and so on and so forth. uh, what we hear is that wherever intelligent chips are getting used, and most of it currently are Chinese chips. So, is there a fear that these information can be captured by somebody who is actually making those chips in China? But I mean, I'm not saying it as an expert. I'm just trying to say what is being spoken in the public.
Got it. No, I think that's a fair question. It's not true. I think that's a fair question, and in that context, one thing, very good thing that was done by our DGCA actually, and which is something we also follow as a part of our process, or as a part of our overall building the drone. So, uh, what you're talking, whether it is data or whether it is other information, this is all operated by the software. Yes, it utilizes the hardware to maintain this whole thing, but software is the brain while the hardware is the body. So, and the storage is in the servers, or the communication is between the devices. All these things are under our control. All the data gets stored in Indian servers. All the software that we use have the protocols which restricts any kind of data theft or information leakage. So there is no problem. And all this, like I said, and what makes the overall drone smart is the software. Yes, even though certain chipsets are used and all, they are dumb in a way. They are enabling you to use the whole thing, but end of the day, they just can't do anything without the software. So software is something we control. Just for you to understand also. In fact, majority of the chipsets are made in Taiwan. Using those chipsets, the some of the the equipment is made in China. Using that equipment, the drones are made in India. But ultimately, the software is made by us, controlled by us, and data is stored in India. So that way,
Okay. So before we go to the last question, I just wanted to know what is the percentage? If 100%, let's say there are 100 components right now in a drone, what percentage actually is being made in India right now? Is there a broad sense?
so now we are trying to achieve 80% made in India. Recently, government has also come up with. See, there is something we also need to understand. This is something I'm just telling you. Some Because it's ambiguous when you look at what is made in where. Say, for example, minerals are available in some places. With minerals, you make some parts, and with those parts, you make another part, and with those parts, you make another part. Okay, so and there are some minerals you can't even find in your country. Okay, and there are some parts, some countries they make it better, or even simple things like screws or stuff like that. Okay, so it's little ambiguous when you ask me, like the percentage. But for me, it's a simple way to look at it is that my level down, who is giving me this part, than me thinking, okay, where the parts of this part is coming from, and where the parts of those parts are getting made from, and all this. So when I look at it that way, right now it is around 40% in the operating market so far. Soon in this, by end of this year, it's going to be pushed to 80%. Like motors, frames, electronics, battery, these kind of things will be slowly pushed towards made in India. In fact, recently government has put up a notification to all the drone manufacturers that, especially if it is something that is coming under government project or government procurement, they will not be buying anything if the percentage of made in India is not to this level. So, I mean, which is also good thing that government is pushing all the manufacturers to step up and get the manufacturing done. But otherwise, from my understanding, it will easily be achieved. Like let's say next 3 months, 50%, another 3 months, 70%, and by end of the year, 80%, something like that. When we started, I think almost 90% or 100% was dependent on Chinese. Slowly, the progress is happening.
So now coming to the last question, drone is a fascinating equipment. I think it has probably seen only a very small fraction of its application so far, and a lot to achieve in years to come. So, and it's a multi specialization product. I mean, different professionals actually can contribute in making a drone technology work. I mean, starting from the simple motor to the software. everything is a component and a service in this. So, looking at the future, what do you suggest, or what is your advice to young students and professionals in terms of how they can look at drone technology as one of the um, key future potential professional career path?
There are multiple levels to it, if you ask me. Um, in my perspective, okay, we can look at it in two ways: innovation in terms of development, and innovation in terms of application. Say, when you look at like innovation in terms of research and development, I think pretty much same things like machine learning or artificial intelligence or big data, whatever the buzzwords and people that people, or even learn cracking new algorithms, all these things is what in the back end that is making drone technology possible. So if you are someone who is already enthusiastic towards that, interested towards that, uh, then pursue that. And with that technology itself, you'll be able to develop new things which will be used in drones. But that's one side. Then now coming to the application. Uh, Application part depends more on understanding the design of the drone, where uh, both avionics are involved and at the same time software is involved. Sometimes it is a multi people coming together kind of a job, and for that you can always bring new you can hire people, but one thing you need to focus on is like, where do I want to use this, for what purpose do I want to use it? Some purposes can be very interesting ones. Say for example, when I was in Uttarakhand, some people were coming and asking me, forget about spraying, protecting our crop from pest, protect our crops from wild animals. In those regions they get attacked by wild pigs or some other kind of wild animal which come and spoil their crop. It's a completely different use case, right? You are thinking like, okay, let me protect the pests, let me increase the fertility and things like that. So when you look at this problem, maybe new idea might come to you. Okay, let me develop a drone which shouts like this, or which you know throws a flash so that the animal run away. You don't know. You know? So when it comes to application, you can be more innovative. You might not be needed to do so much of deep R&D work, but you need to understand what can do what and who is expert in which field and bring them together. And you can design always a new thing. I mean, just random. I'm saying like, if you're like, when you're asking me innovative way people have used, our drone sprays pesticide. Some people are using them to clean panels by putting water and foam into it. So it's like you thinking differently, using the same parts for differently. So that is when it comes to the level to where you want to develop something new drone, may not be heavy R&D. The third thing is like, which we discussed about agriculture, rural entrepreneur, and things like. Look out for what are the next new developments or the new models that are coming up. Let's say we might come up with a drone which can be used to paint buildings. I'm just saying. Then you can be someone knowing this, launch a service in your area or to a particular builder or someone, and be entrepreneurial and make money out of it. There, actually, you don't even need to develop the drone. You don't even need to know what kind of high-end algorithms the drone is using, high-end equipment the drone is. All you need to know is like how to use this thing for this purpose and provide that as a service to people who are in need of it, and make a career or money out of it. So this is, in my perspective, how I see it. And apart from these, another couple of things: you can become a drone pilot. You can work under someone or a company, and that's a good point to start with. You can learn how to repair and maintain a drone if you're a little technical, because there are a lot of people using the drones. If something happened to them, who will repair it? You know, there is opportunity in that direction. A lot of people who are selling drones like us, we are hiring people as technicians. Even customers who are owning 5 drones, 10 drones, they prefer to have their own technician, because they don't want to keep running towards us and ask for change. It's, think of something like how you have mechanics now, individual mechanics in different towns. apart from the certified service provider, you do have like independently operating mechanics. So these kind of entry level jobs are also there. Be a pilot, be a co-pilot, be a technician, be a repair and maintenance guy. And you can also learn how to build a drone and teach to people. That is also something happening these days. A lot of people conducting workshops because a lot of kids are curious to learn how the drone works. So yeah, these are I foresee as major opportunities for someone who is thinking of having a career in this domain.
Fantastic. No, I think you gave us a very good sense of what to expect. What is the drone technology all about? So it's really fascinating, and I'm sure some of our listeners and viewers probably will get some new ideas from this conversation, and will take up a professional career in the technology of drones. So, Sai Kumar, thank you so much for your time today. Absolutely enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mishra, for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you, and it was good to hear very sensible questions, and also it was good to get back to things from the past to the now, and like push my brain to answer some of your questions. I hope most of them made sense to you and to your viewers, and uh, I wish that someone somewhere get to hear this, get inspired, or get some knowledge, get some clarity to move ahead in the life with drones. Thank you. Have a good day.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We sincerely wish you could take something from our conversation today and be able to apply it to your life in a positive way. We value your feedback. This can help us improve our future episodes. So share your thoughts to serve you better. If you want us to focus on a topic which you think is of importance, let us know. We will share our expertise in future episodes. So, see you soon with a new topic and help you in your career journey.